Alright folks, turn 52. I'm pushing right up against the time limit, so I kind of got to do this now, unfortunately. Despite not really being ready or done. But in any case, Ulm continues to push on. In Mammoth Grove, we deployed the King of Banefires haphazardly, and funnily enough, he would have done better probably if there had been a huge army here. So, here's the thing. I forgot to account for in my calculations the fact that I had thought that the double damage against Sacreds from Iron Blizzard and Iron Darts came after Prot, so any damage that penetrated protection was doubled. No, it happens before Prot, actually, which is much, much worse. So the Iron Darts, for me, so this guy's throwing Iron Darts, which do 13 damage base, and he throws Iron Darts at me, and Anthrax takes a huge whop of damage because you can see the damage roll starts off at 26 instead of 13. So it's 26 versus half his Prot, rounded and then reduced by a further 20% for the piercing. So versus a Prot roll of 9, that one I think hit him in the head, which is why it was 6, because his Prot in the head is pretty low. And of course they're magical, so they pass through his invulnerability as well that he's cast on himself. So yeah, Prot does not block those things nearly as well as I was hoping, because I had thought that it would be, 13 versus his Prot, and then whatever got through would be doubled. If that was the case, I could stop it by slapping a ton of protection onto him, which is what I was trying to do. Without that, it's trickier. It's a lot trickier, because his protection versus mundane attacks right now is 33. I can get him up to 30 some odd. Anyway, so basically, he came in here. He got killed a couple of times. He racked up a few afflictions. He did survive because of the Phoenix Pyre. But he racked up a couple of afflictions in the process and was routed. And you can see that Iron Blizzard and the Iron Darts really does a number on him, even at range. Even at range, it's pretty bad. And he might have just bit it right there if I hadn't gotten lucky, to be honest. So, yeah, not ideal. Not ideal at all. If the Soul Vortex had been, if he'd been in the middle of a group of chaff while this was happening, he might well have done, as I said, actually better, because the Soul Vortex would have kept him alive. But anyway, I've slapped a bunch of gear on him. He has a bunch of magic resistance. He has Prot 32. So, nothing but Iron Blizzard or Iron Darts will effectively kill him. But Iron Blizzard and Iron Darts will, in fact, kill him. So, that's really unfortunate. He's reanimating some archers while I move troops down to open Mammoth Grove back up. This army has actually broken a Vanarusian fort. Druidland has been broken and will be lost. Up here, we've got a whole bunch of skeleton dudes. We've got a whole bunch of troops moving in with a couple of black sorcerers. We are casting Mind Hunt on that commander from Funny Guy in order to try and kill off that commander and destroy that little raiding party. And we're just casting a whole bunch of other spells. You can just research right now. Actually, do you have anything good you could do with Earth Gems that would help me right now? I could start throwing blights, I suppose. I could construct a crusher. Or I could enliven some statues, but I think they're magical. Yeah, the thing is, most summons are sort of iffy because they're magical. We'll just hold off for right now with the Earth Gems. In any case, we've got a couple of assassins in position to hold the hulls. I can lose pretty much all of this and still be alive and, like, kind of okay-ish, but I don't want to lose my Heartlands. Lots of troops rolling in. This army is pushing over. This army is pushing over, but these armies are much larger than... They're much less effective than they look like they should be because they're primarily pygmies, and pygmies are going to be very useless against Ulms stacks. They just don't do enough damage. Even with flaming arrows on them, they will not pierce through Ulms' protection enough to really hurt them. What I need to do is I need to gem bait out Ulmish stacks, and then be able to cast battlefield clears that they're not prepped to stop on them. But they are prepped to stop battlefield clears pretty well. So we can see in Druidland, this is his same old stack moving down with the Woodhenge Druid and the Wolf Tribe Shamans. I'm actually going to demolish my own lab here to make sure that he can't reload on gems while standing there, just by moving through my own territory. Black Forest killed a couple of Wolf Tribe Shamans, which is good. Mammoth Grove lost, so we are still unfortunately under siege. Troya raided the province back. Ermithia captured the province. Lost some pygmies, but I don't really care. Druidland got attacked. And Centania got attacked, of course. So Could be doing better. Could be doing worse, of course, but I would prefer not to. We need to try it. We've got to try something. We've got to accomplish something here. I could firestorm one of these. I could firestorm an army. It might well kill the mages. If I can prevent him from getting Army of Gold off, which I think is what he's casting. He's casting Army of Gold instead of Army of Lead. That does mean that I could potentially wipe out an army by teleporting Funny Guy onto it with a Ring of Returning or something, and casting, like, Vortex of Unlife, or just using a huge Death Mage to cast Vortex of Unlife, which I think is... not Soul Vortex. There's a bigger version. Where is it? Enchantment? Evocation. Yeah, Vortex of Unlife, Evocation 8. With a level 5 Death Mage, I can cast this, which hits a big area, but there's actually another one that's just continuous. There's another, or rather, there's another one that is, that's like battlefield-wide leech. Where is it? Oh, Lord, I've lost my mind. I've lost the spell. Not Soul Vortex. Soul Vortex is a good one, but not Soul Vortex. Bone Grinding is a good one, actually. Dropping Bone Grinding on somebody could cause all kinds of incredible damage. It only costs 1 gem, too. So I can do it if I can get a level 6 Death Mage. I can drop Bone Grinding. And I can get a level 6 Death Mage. By summoning a Lich and giving him my boosters, he can then drop onto an army and Bone Grinding them. He'll have to teleport out immediately thereafter, so I need a Ring of Returning in order to do that. Funny Guy can forge Rings of Returning, but right now he's Mind Hunting, so we'll do that next turn. Next turn we'll do that and cast Lichcraft, and try to gear up to get a Bone Grinding trap sprung on one of these armies, which I think might be an effective way to deal with them. Beyond that, we're just kind of staying on the defensive right now. Anthrax is powerfully geared, but like I said, Iron Blizzard really does a number on magical beings. It's really kind of sad that damage isn't halved at first. Alas. Alas, poor me. We'll see what I can do. I've got a whole bunch of Long Dead Horsemen, and I am summoning more. I've got a couple of Mound Fiends reanimating warriors. I can still use Shadow Blast in combat, and using Shadow Blast in combat will be really effective against Ulm. I can also drop Rigor Mortis. So the Rigor Mortis Soul Shadow Blast combo really does kind of hit at a lot of Ulm's weaknesses. I just have to make sure that I have defenses on my troops so they aren't murdered by Firestorm in the meantime, which is part of his strategy that he's dropping Firestorm. I can form communions. I've also summoned a Fairy Queen, and this Fairy Queen is stealthy and can be used to cast Arrowfend, which gives everyone on the battlefield air shield. So if I get her in with Anthrax, then Anthrax might be really useful, because 80% of the projectiles that hit him will be blocked instead of actually hitting him, which multiplies his lifespan against Iron Blizzard spam by 5. And all he has to do, with the Amulet of Resilience, all he has to do is live approximately 5 rounds between deaths, and he'll never actually be killed. Because the Amulet of Resilience... Now, unfortunately, his spellcasting encumbrance is fucking huge because he has a chest wound. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just going to be what it is. He's going to have to take that into consideration when he's casting spells. But he can Phoenix Pyre Soul Vortex Skeletal Body to take half damage from Pierce. He doesn't need to go invulnerable because he'll have 20 magic resistance anyway. So Phoenix Pyre is 20 plus the 15, but then, well, subtracted a lot plus the 15. Soul Vortex and then Skeletal Body. He'll end up with pretty high fatigue after he does all that, but standing back here with the Amulet of Resilience on, he'll also be getting 6 back every round because he is in Encumbrance 0 chassis. So, could work out. I could give him a weapon, but he doesn't really need or deserve one. Like, there's no real point. And the Amulet of Resilience and the Lead Shield are important to push his magic resistance up to the point where he can't just be casually soul slain into oblivion. So, that's the turn for right now. We'll see how it goes. It is a little bit distressing that Vanarus seems to be accomplishing exactly nothing against Ulm. Of course, Vanarus is now Demise. In case I didn't mention, Vanarus is actually subbed out, so it's Demise now, and we'll see what he does. I have no idea what he's planning to do, but I may end up being rolled by Ulm, but as I said before, if I get rolled by Ulm, I have died with honor, and I've accomplished good things in this game. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in turn 53. Okay, turn 53. I don't know why this is taking me so long, but turns in this game are taking a long time now. Part of it is just like a lack of motivation on my part for some reason. This game is still very much up in the air. I'm absolutely not out of it. And I'm building up all kinds of neat tools. So I was attacked by an Earth Elemental, which killed a Shaman. That's, like, not very important. I cast Mind Hunt and killed Alice, a Ulmish commander. We summon a new Mound Fiend. We do have enemy spies raising unrest, which, let's be honest, this doesn't matter. Like, it's still at 16 unrest. This action where spies can raise unrest, it barely matters ever. We broke the siege of Mammoth Grove, killed a Priestsmith, which is nice, since those are his capital only, so great. In Faran, we wiped out the Harab Seraphine, the Caelumite hero. Very nice hero, actually, and the few remaining troops. And in Centania, we wiped out those now leaderless forces of Ulm with mainly Shadow Blast. Shadow Blast is hugely efficient against Ulm. Let me show you this. So, over here, we've got these troops, and these are some of the toughest troops anywhere, right? 23 prot, all this stuff, but they still have 8 magic resistance. So, when we start casting Shadow Blast on them, first of all, we're casting a lot of slime, I think. Look at that Shadow Blast. It just deletes huge numbers of squares, and it does not affect Long Dead Horsemen in the slightest. So, Long Dead Horsemen backed up by a number of Death Mages spamming Shadow Blast is an extremely viable strategy. Now, both of these guys are reanimating, and I have another Death Mage 3 Mage up there, plus her. She's actually going to research, because what we actually want to do here is we want to summon even more Mound Fiends. We want to have multiple Death 3 Mages everywhere we can. Or multiple Death Mages, at least. So, Lammasu, gonna move back up there. I actually do want her to get a cast of Pale Riders off as well. I want both of them to get a cast of Pale Riders off, just so we have that chaff available. Now, the biggest issue will be him casting Firestorm or something on me. I don't have a defense here against Firestorm. Unfortunately. I'll do the best I can. Those guys can move up there. I mean, actually, I have Fire 3. So if I forge a couple of Flaming Skulls of Fire, because I have... Oops, sorry. That's Resist Cold. No, it's not Alteration, it's an enchantment. I have Flame Ward, so I can drop Flame Ward on... I can spam Flame Ward on my units. I don't quite have Fire Fend, which would be super, super useful here. That requires enchantment level 8, which I don't have. I'm heading up to an Evocation level 7, which will get me Firestorm, which can hit his mages if he's not expecting it. It will also get me Murdering Winter. Murdering Winter is a spell that I can potentially cast with my... this dude, Geth. It requires more water gems than I have right now, but if I cast Murdering Winter, I could potentially wipe out a significant number of his mages, because, of course, he is doom stacking, which is expected. Like, that's not unreasonable in his position for him to be doing that, but it means that I can potentially get him. We're going to take that off. We're not going to be casting any more Voice of Apsu right now, because I need to save those water gems. Was anyone else casting Voice of Apsu, or did anyone else have a booster? I could have sworn I had a couple other water boosters out there. I know I had a Robe of the Sea King somewhere. Okay, so the Robe of the Sea is already in that. So, let's give Geth those. So that will make him Water 5. And Geth, then, we are going to take we're going to give the Trolls, actually, to Anthrax here. And Geth is actually going to move away, because Geth does not need to be on the front lines right now. This Magus Temple is going to be very useful as well. My Magi, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Magi. We're going to try to coordinate them down here in order to form a community that can drop meteors. Dropping meteors is one way I could potentially deal with these guys. And we're going to take this mage, and we're going to give him a Rabbit Foot Charm, and a Shambler Skin Armor, and a bag of wine, and an enchanted helmet. 4 random items. And he is going to come over here. I anticipate this army will be moving. I expect this army to be moving. This is the army that was in Vanheim, and it looks like Ulm may have struck a deal. Well, no, actually, Ulm is already breaking down that fort. So, Mbamba here. Mbamba's goal is to get the enemy to cast their globals. Their things. You know what I mean. So, we're going to have these guys out here in skirmish formation. Their morale is garbage. They will rout as soon as they are hit with anything, but they will draw a little bit of fire away from Mbamba, and Mbamba will hopefully cause them to waste some gems. That's his goal. I don't care if Mbamba dies. These items are not super valuable. If he lives, I'll get some of the items back, and I can do it again. This is a little bit of a cheesy tactic, but you know what? It's worth it. We're going to have Peter Parker preach. My mages are researching. Antrax is moving down to Sceleria. I'm hoping that he can get into the fort. Let me be clear. In a battle against an Ulmish army, he would die a lot, but with the Amulet of Resilience and Phoenix Pyre to keep him going, I think he could still probably clear an army. With magic resistance 25, high enough prop that the only thing that will actually threaten him is Iron Blizzard. I think he could clear an army just by turn timering it, possibly. Be a little bit risky, but especially if, now in particular, this could happen if the enemy does not cast Army of Gold, and they kill him and he teleports right near the mages, at which point Iron Blizzard friendly fire and the explosion of the Phoenix Pyre could easily kill a number of mages. Got a whole bunch of troops moving over here. You're a death 2, so you should actually also move over there, because I desperately need more death mages down here. I do not have many. In fact, I don't think I have any other death 2s. Wow. That's unfortunate. Spider Knights, fine. Yeah, recruit some Spider Knights. Okay, so we're going to try to get the Magi assembled to drop rocks. We're going to try to get... I've got some Fire Bros. I've got Antrax. I can give Antrax a Flaming Skull. And actually, I could give him a Skull of Fire. I could actually give him a Fire Helmet. Funny Guy is casting Vengeance of the Dead in order to try and kill Christine again, but I'll tell you what. I can actually forge a Flame Helmet with him, because I don't think I have one. Do not. So yeah, he can actually... No, don't cast a Ritual spell. He can forge a Flame Helmet... What do you mean too low level? You're not too low level. Don't lie to me like that. He can forge a Flame Helmet. I will give him this hammer. Yes, give Funny Guy that hammer. Mamuni can also come over there with his Nature 3. Nature helps. A Flame Helmet plus a Skull of Fire on Antrax will kick him up to Fire 6. He doesn't need to be Fire 6. Actually, no, I don't need a Flame Helmet, do I? Because the thing that I would need Fire for would be casting Heat from Hell. Potentially. Which only actually requires Fire 4. And he can already cast Living Fire really, really easily. I could cast the Kindly ones, but they're not helpful. Like, the Kindly ones are kind of really fucking sad. Yeah, none of these, like, none of my fire spells right now really help much. Potentially Pillar of Fire. Flames from the Sky is the fire spell that could really turn things around a little bit here. Because it does 15 plus armor-piercing damage. You have to be level 5 fire in order to cast it. So, Antrax, basically. And, Antrax and Funny Guy are my two potential Flames from the Sky casters. But Flames from the Sky can absolutely decimate armies like this, because even Black Plate Infantry take damage from it, and mages, if they're hit by the Flames from the Sky, are likely to die. So it costs a ton of gems, but it's an excellent way to deal with big, powerful stacks that you can't deal with through conventional means. Up here, I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. I have a number of Death Mages up here. I have... I mean, obviously I have Death Gems because my Death income is really high. I have Shadow Blast. I have various other Death spells in support. I've got Shamans. I've got my big Earth Mages up here, so I've got Azan. I've got a couple of Fire 3s over there, a couple of Earth 2 Fire 3s over there. I think I have a pair of Earth Boots in storage, so I can boost myself up to Earth 4 or Earth 5 very easily. Hell, I could boost Azan up to Earth 6. So I have a lot of options over on this side, including Marble Warriors, which gives me a lot of natural protection, make my troops quite a bit tougher, and even Iron Walls. I could actually throw Iron Walls on to make my forts not break. And I can throw Maws of the Earth, which works quite well as a combat spell against Ulmish infantry. So I've got lots of options up here. Down here is where I'm actually a little bit weaker. That's why I'm trying to pull the Magi down to stop this stack. This is his biggest and most powerful stack. If I can break that one, I'll make a lot of progress. He's taken Wellrid from Vanarus, and I'm not sure if this army is going to push further into Vanarus or it's going to double back to attack Sceleria. In his position, I would probably attack Sceleria, so that's what I'm planning on him doing. This army will pull over here. I have been attacked by sea dogs over there, which is very unfortunate, but I'm not really gonna do much about it right now. Actually, I do have 120 of these guys, don't I? Just send like a bunch of pygmies. Just throw 120 pygmies at them and murder them. That'll be fine. Like, that's my solution. Just, throw 120 pygmies at it. It'll be fine. These death mages should hop over here to the capital and move on over. Qasim, not quite fast enough to get there in time. So Qasim, tell you what, you can just stay here for now. Is there any like remote attack spells you can cast? I could cast Earth Attack, but I don't really have the Earth gems to waste on that. I could enliven statues, I suppose. I'll get some more Pale Riders up here. I'll get this army back up there, so this army has quite a few Pale Riders in it. I've got a lot of Pale Riders in this. I've got 50 of them, plus some reanimated undead in this province. Interestingly, I have confirmed now. Excuse me, Middle-aged Machaka does get long dead hoplites, and they get them at a pretty good ratio. Like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is half. Half of the long dead are long dead hoplites, which, fun fact, if that's an accurate ratio, that's actually a higher ratio than Arcocephale gets. All of the long dead that these guys have reanimated so far have been either armored or had spears. And like I said, half of them have been long dead hoplites, which have 17 prot and formation fighter. So that's really neat. That's like, I mean, it's not the highest quality national long dead, but it actually makes me curious. It makes me curious about what you get if you cast reanimation as Machaka, which I've never done. Not quite, I think. Well, tell you what. I'm 1 gem short of what I would need to cast reanimation right now, otherwise I'd do it. Do I need another Skull of Fire, actually? I've already got 2. Tell you what, just research there. And why don't I have you... Why don't you just cast reanimation? Okay, and just see what we get. Because if we get... Because we can see up here... up here I have 6 long dead, and only 1 of them is a long dead hoplite. So, but a couple of them are these armored spear long dead, which ain't bad. And then one of them is a naked guy with a sword. So that's just a standard long dead. These are standard long dead. These are the special ones, the long dead hoplites. Let's see if we get some more long dead hoplites. Oh, I also have Connie here with his devils. Devils on attack rear could be very, very useful, especially if he tries to drop Firestorm on me, because they are 25 points fire resistant, and they have a really high damage piercing trident attack, so they might be able to kill some mages with attack rear shenanigans. That would be neat. I have a couple of barbarian commanders over here that I don't necessarily need, so we'll just throw them in there. And yeah, should be good. We'll see how it goes. Anthrax might actually do more good up here where the armies are smaller, I suppose. Especially because Christine, while Christine is up there, she's not actually threatening. Christine does not have a way to kill Anthrax. Yeah, I don't really want to deploy him. I want to use him defensively. Nah, we'll move him down here. He might, like, help keep me on the field or something. If it all goes to shit defending Sceleria. But if I can just pile enough troops into Sceleria, I should be able to get enough siege defense to make things happen. Who's moving there? Oh, that's right. I'm gem baiting them with Mbamba. Okay, cool. That's fine. So, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in turn 54. Alright, folks. It's turn 54. I think I see the end of the road coming in the form of Ermor. I'm impressed, actually. The last I understood was that Ermor's territory had been greatly reduced, but it now looks like this army has fought its way all the way through Nazca from probably somewhere around Pythium, all the way down to my borders, and this is a pretty substantial army, to be honest. They've got an Archbishop, a Dusk Elder, a Jade Sorceress, 1 Spectator, 31 Knights of the Unholy Sepulchre, almost 60 Long Dead Horsemen, and a whole bunch of chaff. And they are coming for me. They've got all their cavalry lined up front, and they are dropping their Bless, and their Bless is, of course, disgusting. We've seen this before. Quickness, magic weapons, magic resistance, and undying. So their magic resistance is actually quite good. And And of course, Knights of the Unholy Sepulchre have a lot of armor as well, but very low hit points. So, like, Flaming Arrow spam would still kill them, just because any hit that gets through the prot is going to deal significant damage. But with the quickness, especially, they're attacking a lot. They get a lot of attacks. So they're very, very scary. And then, of course, behind that, he has his big blobs of chaff surrounding his infantry. He has a couple of censors, and his various mages. This Dusk Elder is actually loaded for bear. Copper Plate, Boots of the Messenger, Storm Spool, so very, very shock resistant, cannot be thunderstruck to death. And Skull Staff, so he can cast Rigor Mortis, albeit he is out of gems. So I suspect that what he's trying to do is, Ermor is trying to take my fort and capture a lab in order to restock his gem supply on this army that must have been fighting Nazca for some time, which I can't let him do. So I will have to destroy the lab here if he gets to this province, which I think he probably will. I can't think of a good reason for him not to do that, unless he anticipates being intercepted by Nazca and losing. So there's that. I am trying to gather what forces I have, but I don't have many forces in this part of the world. I'm gathering about 120 some odd pygmies over there. In fact, what I can do is shift my recruitment some, because I'm recruiting Spider Knights down there that I don't actually really need. So let's take that 148 gold and put it into pygmies over on this side. That'll give me about another 30 pygmies or so. And then I'm spending a lot of gems on summons, but they're all on the other side of the world, once again, because I'm still more worried about Ulm. If I think Nazca will be able to beat this Ermorian army, they may not even be able to take my fort before Nazca can destroy them. In any case, on this side, Ulm's army has conglomerated there. He's got Christine and about 300 other units all blobbed up, which is nice for him. His other armies, he's moving troops in to absorb Vanarus, which he's doing very, very quickly. Vanarus is still in the game. Demise hasn't contacted me or anything. He's just there, just presumably fighting Ulm, albeit not very effectively. Obviously, I can't really see Vanarus's forces, but he's already lost one fort there, and he's about to lose 2 more, unless something terribly, terribly surprising happens. I'm concentrating my army up in Mammoth Grove. I'm going to try to retake my forts and potentially push into Ulm itself. Is is fighting, and Is has a raiding force in Ulm itself, but has not made any progress over here. I have pretty significant armies now, actually, and what I'm about to do is I'm about to launch my Lamias out into Ulm real quick. They are leading a large number of Skeleton Horsemen, and they are just casting Shadow Blast. So we've got Skeleton Horsemen, Skeleton Horsemen, Skeleton Horsemen, Skeleton Horsemen, or Long Dead Horsemen, I guess they're called. We've got over 100, or just about 100 actually. And we'll set them all to hold an attack, and yeah, we're just throwing Shadow Blasts here. We've also got some sprites. I'm actually not going to take the sprites with me because I don't know if they've been seen, and if they haven't been seen, I want to keep them a surprise. What I will do, however, is I will also take these infantry Long Dead that my Mound Fiends have summoned up, and I will set them ahead of the Skeleton Horsemen. I'm also keeping my Devils back, just in case I can manage to spring a surprise with them. I anticipate that this army is going to attack the halls. I think I can hold the halls. I've summoned a Troll Shaman. I've got my Fairy Queen here who can put up Air Shield to block Iron Blizzard fairly successfully. I'm sure I have a Skull Staff somewhere. I think I might actually need to forge a Skull Staff. I thought I had one somewhere, but maybe not. So give that to Msamaki. And Msamaki can... I'm using up all of my death gems already. In research. Yeah, I'm reanimating warriors over here. Summoning another Mound Fiend. So I'll have 4 Death 3 Mound Fiends plus the Death 2 Troll Shaman. Death is, of course, as I mentioned, my kind of ace in the hole. I've also got Azan the Black Sorcerer here, who is Earth and Fire. High-level Earth, which will be great. I would like to actually have him I would like to get some Earth Boots for him. I don't think I have a spare pair of Earth Boots sitting around, so I can boost him up to Earth 5. So he can be dropping Marble Warriors and stuff on my troops. I've also moving up all of my Magi, so I can form a pretty significant Magi communion and drop rocks. And dropping rocks will, I think, be pretty efficient at wiping out some of the Ulmish chaff. Between the rocks and the undead, I think I can definitely accomplish something here. I do need more chaff, actually, so I'll tell you what. I'm not going to be able to summon another Mound Fiend, and instead of reanimating warriors, I actually need to drop some Pale Riders. I think Pale Ride is what I have to do here. I've been doing some testing on Machaka and Reanimation. Reanimation actually isn't a terrible spell for Machaka because a third of the time they get Long Dead Hoplites, which are, I've talked about them before, they're these guys. Long Dead Hoplites, 17 prot, Formation Fighter. They're not bad, and they have the shield and very heavy. So they have very heavy armor, they have Formation Fighter, their attack is completely unimpressive, but they're not awful, to be honest. Their defense skill is pretty garbage, unfortunately. It's actually sort of hilarious that their defense skill is so garbage. It's actually worse than standard Long Dead without a shield, because their armor is so heavy. But that said, they can do some work, and Machaka gets a third them, a third these guys, armorless, shield and spear, Long Dead, and a third, not these guys, guys with armor and helmets, but just regular spears. We actually don't see any of them here, because these are just reanimation, just priest reanimation. If you cast the spell reanimation, you get slightly better than usual quality Long Dead. And the Long Dead Hoplites, like I said, really not bad. But, the biggest problem here is actually going to be fire resistance. Because I anticipate he's going to Firestorm me. Now, in terms of alteration, I do have Fog Warriors for one, which is something that my Fairy Queen may be able to throw down. And I don't have Warriors of Niflheim, which gives you a lot of resistance to fire. That would actually be quite useful, but I can't reach it in time. I'm researching towards Evocation level 8, and the reason I'm doing that is that Evocation level 8 will give me Pillar of Fire and Vortex of Unlife. Vortex of Unlife and Pillar of Fire will both be very useful. Pillar of Fire hits hard enough to punch through Ulmish Prot, even if they have 5 fire resistance from Army of Gold. And Vortex of Unlife, of course, is just a magic resistance negates check, and if you fail, it's a pretty wide area of effect, and if you fail, you take a bunch of armor negating damage, and then anyone who's dead becomes a soulless, which can kind of help derange enemy formations. It requires level 5 death, but it actually doesn't cost any gems, so Death 4 mages can cast it with a gem. And Death 4 I can do. I have some Death Gems freed up now, so I'm going to have you start forging Skull Staffs monthly. You can do those for 6 gems. And then up here, we will have you cast Pale Riders, and we will have you cast Pale Riders. So that burns through most of my Death Gems, but it'll get me another 40-some-odd chaff there, which will help, because I just need more units to soak up damage. I've already got 50 Long Dead Horsemen there. I'm also summoning allies, so I'm getting a few more of those little flyer buggers activated. Beyond that, what else can I do to help hold this, or at least make it very, very painful to take? Well, I'm moving my troops up. Antrax, he hasn't seen Antrax's new gear yet. So hopefully this is still, a secret. I could actually gear Antrax out to Fire 6. I'm just not sure what value that would really have in this circumstance. I think he's more valuable as an army fighter if we can get an army that doesn't murder him instantly, but, we'll see how that goes. We've also got Asphodel down here besieging Jomi, and they are about to break the fort, and I strongly suspect, and am worried, that what's going to happen is Ermor's going to attack me, Asphodel's going to attack me, and Ulm's going to pull his armies back to attack me. I cannot possibly stop all 3 of them at once. I'll try, but I can't do it. With all of my resources over here, I think I may be able to stop Ulm, but Asphodel and Ermor, I don't have answers to. I just kind of have to hope that Nazca will crush these armies. Which is not a great feeling, not a great situation, to be fully honest. Asphodel is actually resurgent, which is sort of hilarious. Like, Asphodel is coming back, and I think Perun and Haerdalas have made an agreement with Asphodel to ignore them while they're cleaning up Ermor, although they don't seem to be cleaning up Ermor super effectively, so we'll kind of see what happens there. But I think this, like I said, I think this may be the death knell of Machaka. We will go down swinging, we'll do what we can. We're moving Balbu down here to start forging water bottles every single turn. because we are moving to recruit more and more Bane Spiders. I think assassination via Bane Spider will be one pretty decent way I have of countering these Ulmish stacks, and that's why I've got these two guys just sitting here, waiting. Just waiting. I haven't used them yet. Ulm shouldn't know that I have them here. He hasn't seen any Bane Spiders yet. So hopefully they'll be able to catch him by surprise, kill a couple of commanders. It would be especially sweet if I could kill a couple of nature mages off. Although he has Pristine up here, I think it's this army that was relying on a small nature communion to cast its poison resistance. But if I can do that, then my mages could actually throw down a ton of poison cloud. I may do that anyway, just because my undead chaff, of course, doesn't care about poison clouds. Ulmish chaff does, unless he's gotten Serpent's Blessing off, in which case won't really affect them much. But we can, we can do it, we can try it. Also, of course, if he comes in, the Magi will be able to drop some hot fire. I'm also moving up Geth, because Geth, with his Water 5, will be able to cast, not Wave Warriors, what was it? Grip of Winter. He may have fire resistance, but I don't think he has cold resistance. Grip of Winter plus Rigor Mortis will pretty quickly knock out everybody who isn't undead. And I have a bunch of undead, and he doesn't. So if I can get Grip of Winter and Rigor Mortis off, we are in the money, we're in business. Which I think I can do, because I can give a Skull Staff to a Mound Fiend to cast Rigor Mortis, and obviously Geth can just cast Grip of Winter right off the bat. He may not be expecting that, and I don't think he has a way scripted to give all his troops a lot of cold resistance. So if I can drop those, and especially because this is actually a cold province, at least at the moment, and it will get colder because it's going into fall, I think I'll be able to really accomplish something. Christine's Dominion has heat, obviously, and I do have Christine's Dominion in the halls, unfortunately. But, we'll just do what we can. What would be nice right now would be if I could forge a Crystal Matrix. Let's do that. That will let me make a Fairy Queen, a Master of the Magus Communion, and I'm okay with burning my Magi out to defeat this army. So by making her a Master of the Communion, I can get her to cast Fog Warriors quickly. And then I can hopefully also get off Relief and possibly Howl. And that will pretty much explode the Communion, I'm certain. But if I could do that with her, then I think we'll be in business. So that's the plan, and then, like I said, these two ladies just raiding, just going out to hit Black Forest, see if they can draw off some attention. I think these 100-some-odd undead will be able to stop some number of Ulmish troops, especially with a couple of Shadow Blasters behind them. I'm also casting Beckoning. Carrie is casting Beckoning, which is expensive in Nature Gems, and I might not do it, but he's casting Beckoning on Ulm itself. And what Beckoning does is it makes a whole bunch of the units and commanders that are in a province take a check, or just vanish. So I feel like it could be useful. I have to do a little bit more research on the exact mechanics of it, because it might not be worth it. It does cost quite a few Nature Gems. It costs 20 Nature, and it's quite hard to cast. I could also just cast Call of the Wild for raiding. Why don't I do that, in fact? Why don't I drop Call of the Wild? Well, I need to do some more research on Beckoning. I'll decide what to do with Carrie. I will be spending these Nature Gems, because I've got to spend gems in order to win this. Like, I'm just spending every gem I can get as quick as I can get it. And that's fine. That's how I'm gonna do this thing. I think the Grip of Winter Rigor Mortis combo can hold the halls, with my undead chaff leading the way. Down here, this army with Anthrax and it's mostly Pygmies, and Pygmies are not super impressive, as I've mentioned before. But I think this army with Anthrax in support can hold down here as well. Anthrax is another one who can also cast Rigor Mortis once I get him a little bit of a buff here, a little bit of a booster. So he can do that. And I think I can move this army out to attack one of these places, unless this army moves south. If this army moves south, then I'm actually going to come out after it, because even in a field battle, I think the Grip of Winter Rigor Mortis combo will win the day, or could win the day. The problem just is, nowhere else is cold, and it's really a lot more useful in cold provinces. So, we'll see how it goes. It's unfortunate that both of us have Heat 3 Dominion, but yeah, we'll do the best we can. Really worried about this. really pretty worried about this, but this situation over here is just what I have to focus on. If I can push back, and particularly if I can put Ulm under siege even temporarily, I'll be in much better shape. Ulm being under siege would be fantastically useful, because Ulm being under siege interrupts his production of priest smiths, who are the ones who can do the Iron Blizzard thing very effectively. And if I could actually take Ulm, that would be an enormous coup, and it would force him to react. It would force him to start pulling his armies back. We can see he is recruiting more troops, and trying to launch small groups of troops forward to reinforce, it looks like. He's recruiting more Black Plate infantry in the fortresses he's taken off of me. But we'll see what I can do. Especially if these armies stay distracted taking Vanarusian territory, I may be able to get one or two of these back, and see what progress I can make. I do have a lot of siege strength here, so I can crack one of these forts in one turn and storm it. We'll see. And I know I say that a lot. I've been saying that really a lot, but I mean, that just we'll just have to see. I really don't know how this is going to play out. It's kind of exciting. We'll find out. Yeah, give me some hoplites just for chaff purposes. All right, so thanks for watching. I'll see you in turn 55.